Hey y'all, I hope you're well. Welcome to another episode of Healthcare Boulevard. This is a podcast where we shine more light on healthcare, and our goal here is to provide more options to people looking to choose healthcare as a career path, regardless of their background. My name is Sena Kakpomo, and I am your host and creator here. I thank you for tuning in. I appreciate your support. Remember, you can tune in on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Without further ado, let's get into today's episode. All right, Healthcare Boulevard fans, I am back with you on the mic and again here with another guest. He is a physical therapist, as it is appropriate for this section, and I'm excited to chat with him, get to know what he's been doing, and hopefully y'all can learn one or two things from his experiences and so forth. Kevin, welcome to Healthcare Boulevard. How you doing?
Hi, good morning. Thank you for having me, Sim.
Of course.
How's everything going with you?
I'm well, thank you. We just learned that we both came back from a trip last night, so we're maybe on a bit of a jet lag, right? but
Yes.
but thank you for joining me right after your trip and all of that. I appreciate it. Um let's get started. Can you introduce yourself a little bit to the listeners and tell us what who you are and what you do right now professionally?
Yes. Okay. All right. So my name is Kevin Kennefic, Dr. Kevin Kennefic. I always tell my patients to call me Kevin. And so I'm a physical therapist. I'm based out of New York. I am practicing in Jersey and in New York. I went to the University of Scranton for my physical therapy degree, and I have a master's in from the University of Northern Colorado in biomechanics. And then I did my undergraduate in the University of Scranton. And yeah, does that kind of answer the question? So I apologize if sometimes I'll come back to you for reference if I answered it correctly.
No, it's fine. So how is work right now? And how long have you been working?
I've been working 5 years now, and work's going pretty. It was interesting the last couple of years.
Hmm.
When I first started, compared to the pandemic, to now, it's starting to pick back up where it's full pace again. So definitely excited for that.
Okay. And what and I'm going further, I'm getting ahead of myself, but since we're on this train, what population of students do you, I mean, not student, my bad. What population of patient do you serve right now?
So I mostly work with patients, outpatient orthopedics, and I work with patients with Parkinson's disease, some patients which who've had cerebral vascular attacks like strokes, and a wide range of post-op, non-post-op, chronic and traumatic, and acute patients.
Okay. Would that be considered like neuro or is that a specialty in PT? Let me ask that
So
first.
I guess I focus on a little bit of both. Orthopedics is one section, and then I
Mhm.
also work with patients with neurological syndromes as well. So I utilize a lot of my orthopedic training and how I assess the body mechanically to address dysfunctions in patients with or without neurological issues or with or just specific orthopedic issues to help work with their muscles, bones, and nerve type problems.
Okay. And did you have to train like in any specialty while you were in school or after for this particular group of patients?
Yes, I so when I finished undergrad, I really valued education and I wanted to kind of like go learn how to put my hands on patients a little bit better to manually work.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like physical therapists, we have a unique opportunity to put our hands on patients and work with them.
Mm-hmm.
So I did some education to specialize my hands a little bit more, certification as a manual physical therapist, and I went a little bit step further to work for to go for a fellowship in manual physical therapy to specialize with the orthopedic population as well as clinicals and clinical grand rounds for working with patients with Parkinson's disease and other different diagnoses.
Okay. And how long did that take after your PT education was done?
It's different. It's open ended, so it's kind of as fast as you want or as slow as you want.
Okay.
And so when I first came out of school, I kind of just took a year off and I wanted to just relax from being in school for so long. I mentioned that I did a master's before my doctorate, and I was just kind of zonked. I'm not gonna lie. So I really just wanted to just practice and work and kind of not have to worry about extra studying, but I was still always kind of reading.
Mhm.
I did my certification as a manual physical therapist in about like 13 months, and I did that with a company called NIOMT. It's a North American Institute of Orthopedic Manual Therapy, and they were based out of Michigan, I believe, and then after that they have different satellite places in New York City and across the country. So I luckily was able to walk down the street from my job to Midtown and be able to go to 7 different classes in oh, 5 classes there, 2 classes in Massachusetts. And I did that over the course of about 13 months. I took the practical exam where they just kind of grill you and watch you work with patients. It's a little nerve wracking, I'll be honest, because every time you start doing something and then you think you're doing well, you're met with a frowny kind of face that you're unable to like kind of read off of like, am I messing this up? Am I doing well?
Mhm.
And then they throw curveballs at you. So when you start doing good, they start throwing curveballs to see if you really know what you're doing. So it's that was a fun experience. So that took me about 13 months, and then doing the fellowship you could be done. Some people a little bit faster than I am. They could finish in about 2 years, 2.5. I'll probably take about like 3.5 years to finish it, and it's do at your own pace. So I'm able to meet with my clinical mentors. I'm able to meet with other clinicians. I have a nice support system of fellowship of different people who are in the education system, people who are fellows themselves, and be able to refer them for questions. So long story short, about 13 months for the certification as a manual therapist, and probably about 3.5 years for the fellowship.
Okay. All right. That's pretty. So at this point, you're like well, you're not done with the fellowship yet. Is that what I'm understanding?
Correct. I have about 2 more classes didactically, and then just have one more practical where they do the same thing. They kind of like grill you. There's a little some paperwork in between, but it's nearly done.
Okay, well, congratulations on a lot of things and almost being
Thank
done
you.
with your fellowship. um, do you, because, and this might be a silly question, but having been on LinkedIn more often lately, I've seen like a lot of like titles after people's name. Now, do you get like an added title after the PT once you're done with your fellowship? And what is that?
Yes. So there's definitely a little bit of like an alphabet soup out there, and that's also I try to limit what I kind of put after my name.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be a fellow. So it'll be FOMPT, FAAOMPT. That will be the designation after the name. And so it would be like PT was the profession. The MS would be the extra masses that I have. The CMPT will be the certified manual physical therapist will be replaced with the FOMPT, and I
Okay.
would kind of leave it at that.
Okay. Okay. Now, I do want to make a point to the listeners that as if even though I didn't necessarily direct him as a doctor, he is a doctor. Every PT once they completed the program or designated as doctors because they've gone as high as I can. Well, needed anyway to practice as a PT. Am I correct?
Correct. It's a clinical doctorate in physical therapy, similar to a clinical doctorate as a direct doctor of podiatry
Mm-hmm.
or a doctor of chiropractic. It's not a
Exactly.
medical direct. It's not a medical doctor, and it's also osteopathic is like another DO term. So each term has a particular field that they work with.
Right. Right. Exactly. So just putting that out there, no, on MDs don't have, a pattern on the doctor title. There's a lot of doctors out there and they all that deserve their respect. So thank you for sharing that with me and with the listeners. I had something in mind to ask you, but I totally forgot. This tend to happen when I'm going off the train. But let me continue with the question. I'll probably come back to it. And how would you, as a PT in well season one for that matter, how would you describe a physical therapist to somebody who's never heard of the title?
All right, so I kind of prep. I thank you. Like, she sent me some of the questions. I was able to kind of prep beforehand. So I wanted to kind of read something that was off the American Physical Therapy Association's page and kind of like, um, see what they have to say. So, kind of compare it to what I like to perceive it to be.
Mm.
So they say physical therapists are movement experts who improve quality of life through prescribed exercise, hands-on care, and patient education. And the way I would like to mention it is that we examine each per. Oh, sorry, I'll get to my answer. Um, Physical therapy is an art and practice to optimize efficient human performance in every aspect of life. We are all athletes of life, and we are the movement experts. We specialize in bone, muscle, and nerve dysfunctions and figure out how to help you.
Okay. Now two questions, and I'll ask it just so we have it on record and we don't forget it. One is going back to what you do. I'm a little bit like curious about what your work is with the what's the type? What's the Parkinson's disease patients? And secondly to that, let's have you answer that first.
Okay, in regards to Parkinson's patients, it
Yeah.
is a neurological disorder where it's neurodegeneration.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to patients with Parkinson's, it affects how patients move. So it's an improper like firing and the brain and how it turns muscles on. So that's where they'll have certain types of the symptoms, kind of like shaking or having certain dysfunctions of being able to move that leads into bradykinesia where they can't move that big or quickly, the flat affect or the decreased motor function. So when it comes to like using orthopedics to be able to help patients with neurological syndromes like that, it's trying to optimize the way I like to approach physical therapy. It's like a pyramid. So the pyramid is get rid of pain first, get improve range of motion, improve strength, improve speed, and improve power. So in those stages where I would like to work with a patient, let's say with Parkinson's who has pain, I want to try to get them out of some of that pain first. Then I want to improve their range of motion because a lot of the times they'll have bradykinesia, which is be a smaller range of motion. So if we're able to improve the range of motion there's something called LSVT big, which is a big range of motion and a like loud sense of it. The LSVT big and loud is another component of it. So then if they could better understand how they're moving in a larger range of motion with either like mirror feedback or visual feedback from like a 2D motion analysis system or a camera system, they could slow down some of the progression of it by improving their reprogramming their brains to think that, because sometimes if they raise their arm up, that they're like thinking like my arm's over my head and it's really not. So it changes that proprioception, that kinesthetic sense of like where their body's in space. So with my pyramid format of like approaching it from like get rid of pain, improve range of motion, improve strength, the goal is to turn on the right muscles to do the right things, such as being able to raise your arm over your head to pick up something off a shelf. You need to have good scapular motor control. You need certain muscles to work the right way. To walk down the street, to bend over, you need to be able to pick up your socks the right way without throwing your back out or tipping over, losing your balance and your base of support. So there are a lot of commonalities between some primal movements of how everyone moves. And then I like to incorporate that into how I treat patients with neurodegeneration and try to optimize their function as best as we can by improving their range of motion, improving their strength throughout their full range of motion, because that's a characteristic of it is that it decreases those aspects. So my goal is to try to approach it from there. Now, I don't want to say that that's the only approach. I just want to say that's my approach. So there are other people that approach it a little bit differently, but that's just how I would reason why I approach it that way.
Okay. Okay, that's fair. That's no, that I was very interested in that because and another thing I love about doing this is I get to see more of what other specialties that I've field that I've heard about and perhaps worked with do what else they can do. So I didn't know that PTs work with folks with Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and so forth. So I was very interested to see how you help them. But thank you for sharing that. Um,
Absolutely.
and now, as far as your fellowship, what style do you guys have for choosing your fellowship? Do you just choose it based on your interests, or are you assigned a fellowship? How does that work?
I would say we choose what we're interested in, which I think is very lucky for us as a career.
Mhm.
And you can, so there's about 44 fellowships out there. This is some of the stats off of it's a mouthful. The American Board of Physical Therapy Residency and Fellowship Education. I just checked their stats. And as of 2021, June 1st, there's about 2,400 fellows currently who've passed. And out of like 258,000 PTs in America, there's 44 fellowship programs. There's 329 residency programs. So you choose what you want. There are certain programs that are residencies for orthopedics. There are certain residencies that are there for, I'll kind of go through a quick list of the different subspecialties: cardiovascular, electrophysiology, geriatrics, neurology, oncology, orthopedics, pediatrics, sports, women's health, and wound management. So I guess there's probably a good 10 different subspecialties that you can choose under that residency or fellowship umbrella.
Mhm. Working with the body mechanics and such like that, there's a couple of other fields, I would say, or specialties that sort of coincide with you guys, do similar things but surely different, and that include things like chiropractors and ATC, athletic trainers and so forth. Can you sort of like wheeze out some of the differences and how you collaborate with those with those titles essentially?
Yes, absolutely. And I would just kind of go, I guess I would say, going on the record, that everyone has their place in the healing process in the healthcare team format. There are some with medical background and there's some without medical background. So my biggest thing, I'll say for myself, I don't want to speak for other fields, but I like to know my limitations, and when in doubt, refer out. So that's a big thing I like to say. So if I see something that's a little funky, I always refer out. And I just luckily have worked with other individuals that have done the same, from the athletic training sense, from the personal training sense, from the chiropractic sense, and from physician sense. So I apologize. I'm going to give you a lot of grandpa answers, as like my brother-in-law says. He'll joke with me and just say he was like, "You can fix always," as like my sister and I. He's married to my sister. He'll always joke. He was like, "You guys give long answers, and we just want a short answer sometimes." So I apologize. I'm totally going to do that a bunch of times.
No, it's okay.
Uh,
My husband does the same thing, so I'm used to it.
so I guess so back to the question. So there's physical therapists, we muscles, bones, and nerves. There's athletic trainers that work with it from a non-medical sense, but they do at times have some medical training and background for like on the field training. So I do have to mention that. So I apologize for the ATCs out there that I first said what I said. They do have a medical background in the sense of on the field training, which is fantastic. They help improve the motor function of athletes to take them from a rehab standpoint further to return to sport and to sport. There are chiropractors that I've heard of, different chiropractors that only do manipulations. A manipulation is when you do something like a high velocity movement with a low amplitude, or a high velocity movement with a high amplitude. And they only do that. They'll have patients come in 5 to 15 minutes. And I apologize if I generalize this to anyone that's out there. But then there are also some chiropractors I've heard that will kind of have a scope of practice that will include exercises, corrective exercises, and neuromuscular reeducation to maintain what they've cracked or manipulated, so to speak. Physical therapists have a background in chiropractic and osteopathic type of techniques from like the 1700s, 1800s, 1900s. And it's really interesting, the field of physical therapy and how we grew. And I wish I better organized some of my thoughts for this, because it's pretty cool. So I guess maybe we could kind of go through that like another time. Yeah, that's kind of like a little overview. And then orthopedics surgeons, they're kind of the top docs when it comes to the musculoskeletal system. So we kind of have a little bit of a hierarchy, but we're all taken to effect what the other says. I've referred patients out to orthopedic surgeons, to orthopedic non-surgeons, I've collaborated with chiropractors who've been working with patients. And the main thing is when we try to work with patients, we want to try to get them better in the first like several visits. Within 6 visits, if we can't make a positive impact, then something else could be going on. So we always look to refer out and lean on each one of the team members of the healthcare team.
What do you like about physical therapy, and what is some of the challenges, or what are some of the challenges that you faced?
Good question. I saw this. I was like looking through your whole list of questions, and I was like super professional, typing up some of my answers. And this is like the fun question. It's like, why do you like physical therapy? I think it's just fun to hang out with patients. I think it's a great opportunity to meet people that you may never have an opportunity to meet and to help them, but to also learn from them. So like my big thing is like I like to teach my patients like when they leave me, in my opinion, they should be as smart as me for their particular diagnosis so they know how to fix it.
Mm.
But in the same time, I'll learn a few things from them. I'm not asking them, hey, what should I do for an IRA Roth versus a regular 401k? But like we'll talk about different sports, we'll talk about history, we'll talk about science, we'll talk about books. So it's a really fun field where you meet just a myriad of different personalities from different walks of life. So like that's my favorite thing. Like I'm definitely much of a people person,
Mm.
so I like having that interaction. I will say I like hanging out with them because I also alternatively hate writing notes. I hate documenting. That is like the my biggest hatred for physical therapy is having to chart. And if I could just hang out and work with my patients all day, I absolutely would because it's fun because we just kind of motivate them. We kind of like, I've had several times where I've worked with patients and I remember this one patient, Carol, she was like in the mid 70s and I'm like with her and she goes from doing a bridge where she's laying on her back, she's bringing the hips in the air, she's training her glutes to help her with walking, going up and down stairs. She lives in New York City where I practice. And for her to like commute from different locations to groceries. Like I just love just being like, yeah, Carol, get it. Like she just went from doing like no 10 bridges and fatiguing to being able to do like 3 sets of 15 with like a 10 to 20 pound dumbbell on her waist. So
Okay.
like I love just being able to be like, yeah, you get it, get it. And so I love the atmosphere of being in a clinic. It's open in the clinics that I've typically worked in. So it's a fun environment and everyone's pretty fun, pretty cool, and cool in the sense of like we're nerds who like science, we like to exercise and we like to stay fit and we like to stay relevant with up to date clinical practice. So I guess that's what I mean by the term cool. We're all nerds, so to speak.
I feel it. And what are some of your challenges?
Some of my challenges, would you give better context? Or I
Um,
guess more context?
just in the field of PT, what are I guess some things if you could you would change about the profession, or your day-to-day life. It's up to you. Whatever comes.
I guess the first thing that popped in my head, I would love to order images if I could, and for like X-rays and MRIs when needed. Now that doesn't mean that patients need to have them done, but I would like the opportunity for that. I would like the opportunity to not have to fight the insurance companies for things
Mm-hmm.
and to fight for like reimbursement rates or for fight for more approval and for different more sessions for patients because it's like a fine line of saying that a patient is like this much dysfunction, but if you say that they have this much dysfunction on the evaluation, then the insurance company is going to say they only need a few visits because they are like not that messed up, so to speak. And then
Mm-hmm.
if you, when it comes to the progress note, if you show that they've improved too much, then the insurance company will be like, well, they improved so well, so they don't need many more visits. Or if you show they don't improve enough, then they're like, well, they're not getting much better, so we shouldn't improve much more visits. So it's a fine line, that insurance game. Those would be like my things I would mention refer to your question.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, I might end up putting like doing like a remix of clips of people's challenges across board, and a lot of it is insurance. So you're not alone. I heard it from the PAs. I heard it from the pharmacists. It's interesting. And I'm sure I'll hear it from the MDs when the time comes, or even NPs.
Yeah.
um, but that's good to know. What is oh yeah. So as far as specialty in PT, let's
Mhm.
say you work for like a few years or maybe a couple even decades, and you want to switch specialties. What is the process for that, and how hard is it?
Yes. So the process for that, it's pretty you can, and that's the best part about physical therapy is that you can transfer. And there are a lot of clinical pearls you could learn in like one particular field, let's say like orthopedics, that can be applicable to other fields such as neurology, pediatrics, or cardiovascular. And there are some things that don't. There are specific clinical pearls, I'll say, for maybe like women's health that are not as generalizable for orthopedics and or for clinical electrophysiology, which is like an interesting kind of subset of physical therapy I don't know as much about. But you could take a lot of lessons and theories that you have with humans. Humans, we're muscles, we're nerves, we're bones. So if you kind of know those general concepts and then you learn those new clinical pearls for, let's say, cardiovascular, such as certain medications that patients are on, and that's something you want to be aware of like what medications they're on. Is it going to complicate things? Are they going to have orthostatic hypotension where they're going to stand up and they're going to pass out? So there are definitely certain nuances for different fields. But the fun part about physical therapy is that there's a lot of generalizable theories that you can incorporate to improve your practice with different populations.
Okay. Okay, that's fair. Thank you for sharing that. And do you have to go back to like fellowship or anything like that, or can you do like on the job training?
You can do both, honestly. And I think that is a great opportunity. I would just reference that it's always great to have good mentors or a good support system to turn to for questions that you may have. And there are some therapists out there that have their GCS, their geriatric certified specialist, their OCS, their orthopedic certified specialist, their NCS, their neuro certified specialist, or the PCS. There's some out of those 10 different fields I mentioned, those are the subsects you could be board certified for. So you could go back to school and just kind of keep cranking them out, not to like PT school, but to like residency school or testing or board certified tests or fellowship programs. So there's so many different opportunities that are beneficial for your different types of learners, people who want to be in person, people who don't want to be in person, people who want to more didactically read and be able to incorporate into their own practice. So it's that's the fun part about physical therapy. There's many options that you can do for your personal type of like learning.
And what are your shifts like right now as you work in fellowship?
Okay, so right now, fellowship, it doesn't take away from my caseload per day. There are some residencies that may have you like some didactic and less patients per day. There are some programs that residencies you still see full patients per day. Currently, I work for a company called Eden Health, and I also see my own patients as kinetic physical therapy. So I see more patients like one-on-one. So I'll see patients anywhere from like 5 to 10 patients a day, which I really like compared to where I came from.
Right, right. No, that's fair. And how is work-life balance with as a PT?
I would say at times it could be terrible. I will. It's a fine line. So there, you'll have your individuals who like you'll go to work and you do your job and you take care of people, which is a wonderful component. And but for me, I guess I do the extra education because I like to know more things. I feel like I have a unique opportunity to be able to like help patients. So I've always wanted to take that and like great pride and be able to have as much education to help them get better quicker. So I do a little bit of that sprinkled throughout the day, sprinkled throughout the week, sprinkled throughout the month and the year. Um, I also like to stay creative. So I've actually incorporated several components of my own personal business, Kinetic Physical Therapy, to kind of tie in everything else that I like to do. I like to write, I like to draw, I like business, the concept of business. And so I guess my work-life balance isn't as good, but it's incorporated with hobbies of mine that are just very intertwined with physical therapy. So I don't want to define myself as like physical, it's just a physical therapist. I just like I like to play around, and this is how I like to play around. It just happens to be it's with a clinical doctorate in physical therapy to help patients and to do more stuff with it.
Okay, all right. And what are if any, your projects outside of physical therapy, as you mentioned, that you're working on
Yeah.
and now have worked on?
All right. So I'll say some of the projects that do take up some of the time. So I guess in like a daily routine, I'll do work for Eden Health, which is the medical tech startup that I work for. So I work for them for a portion of the day. Some of my other stuff is I see patient facing on my own as Kinefic Physical Therapy under the umbrella Kinefic Physical Therapy. I think it's a unique opportunity as a business owner to have an ability to do what you want to also help supplement your pay.
Mhm.
So my hobbies also help try to get me financial gains to kind of get paid to kind of take care of me and help allow me to do more fun hobbies. Again, sorry for the grandpa answer, but some of the things I like to do for kinetic physical therapy. So I'm trying to write a marathon training book, and I've been working on that the last like 4 years. And I use myself as a test subject. What I learned from writing the book and working myself as a test subject, I incorporate with patients I've seen in the past, and I've refined my program to make them better, make them rehab and still train. So that's a fun subsect of Kinetic Physical Therapy. I have a website, kineficphysicaltherapy.com, that allows me to have a platform to be able to like make different products that are on there from a physical therapy sense or from almost like a sales sense. Like, not that I'm trying to like push products or anything like that. You could put stuff on the website from Amazon affiliate, and I think that's a cool thing by itself.
Mhm.
Being able to have a one-stop shop that has a bunch of products on there that people commonly need for physical therapy, where it's kind of approved list. Because I've had so many patients ask me like, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And I'm
Mhm.
like, that's just a scam. Or I'll tell them like, "Hey, listen, that's a pretty good thing. You know what? Yeah, that's a good idea." So at least it gives a recommendation, because if patients are going to ask me, I might as well have a little list of things on my website of like, hey, these are good. So
Mhm.
I love that learning aspect of like, what's a website, what's on the website, how to create a website, which is much more complicated than I originally thought.
Mhm.
So I would say you definitely work with a web programmer. I did, and I was very happy for that. And even from a business sense, how that incorporates SEO terms, how that incorporates marketing funnels, how that incorporates what's going to be a product, what does it mean to even make a product, and how to standardize that product, how to trademark, how to copyright, how to logo, how it takes into effect getting a lawyer involved. So like, I love learning those aspects
Mhm.
because it everything kind of ties together. So if you're a business owner, you got to know how to do all those. You could definitely do less. You could definitely do more. And as a physical therapist, when you work for another company, most of that's already taken care of. So you don't have to worry about the billing aspects, how the logo aspects, or the product aspects. So that's also kind of like a hobby of mine, just learning new stuff. Um, I guess what other things I'm doing, I'm consulting with a 501(c)(3) organization, and I apologize if I say that the wrong way. My girlfriend always jokes, messes with me, and says I always say that the wrong way. 501(c)(3) company. It's called the Tesoro Project, where they go to different South American-based countries, such as Guatemala, that they have physical therapists that go down there to do physical therapy there with different patients in the community in a I don't want to say third world country, because I think it's could be a little disrespectful to say that. I'd rather say a country that could use a little help. And I find that physical therapists have a unique opportunity to be help people. So that's another one of my little side projects on. Well, I just think it's a great opportunity that would be a little passion project of mine. And I guess another big passion project of mine is working with this organization called Point Motion. So Point Motion is a technology-based company that creates a 2D motion analysis system that utilizes cell phones or like laptop cameras to allow you to do 2D motion analysis sensing of how you do movements. And the unique component of it is the program I've created with them, the physical therapy exercise library, is incorporated with music I work with a Berkeley grad that helps me make music. His name is Jesse, and he's a fantastic beats guy. So I think that's another fun component. Is like I could say that I have a beats guy, and I really like having when the person does the exercise the right way. it plays a positive auditory feedback to confirm the person does the exercise the right way. So it keeps the melody going. So I think it's a lot different than the different static home exercise programs that are out there. It's an opportunity to confirm if you're doing something the right way. And this is something I'll always joke with my patients. I'm like, listen, you could either do something that's like right, or if you're not going to do it right, you're going to waste your time. If you're going to waste your time, like we don't have as much time throughout the day. So might as well, if you're going to do something, do it right. So this is an opportunity to take my creative side of physical therapy based exercises and my creative side of music. I love music. I love being able to incorporate that in how I treat, to my artistic side of being able to have create a logo and make a picture. I definitely work with people for that. I don't draw myself. I do a little bit, but more sketches. So that's a bunch of things I just mentioned, but like they're all just aspects of like who I am, what I like to do as a person, what I've done in that. Just to mention, I love having an opportunity to tie everything that like is fun to me. And I've been able to tie them together into like one semi-linear directive construct of like a bunch of different circles that all revolve around physical therapy.
Right, right. Okay, well, thank you. You seem like a very busy, happy PT, so I love to see it. Some of my last few questions. One is, what are some leadership opportunities that are available for PTs in the workforce?
Um, Leadership opportunities. So one, you could the easy way to say it, you could go up the ranks from a staff physical therapist, assistant clinical director, regional director. I'm in a standpoint of moving toward director of physical therapy for Eden Health, which is the medical tech company that I work for. They as well, you could be a leader in your community to help work with people local for you and be a local business owner and work with the different communities that are there, your populations. You could also be a leader to help with people across the world. I think this is a great opportunity to be the time that we live in to help not only local people, but like national people and possibly international people and across the globe. So there's there's really no cap to it, I could say, because every time you learn something, it's a fun lesson that maybe someone else could beneficially learn from. And then if you have a good mentor to kind of help teach you some things like this, it's easy to help more people. So I guess the term leader, like it doesn't have to just be about physical therapy. It could be helping. I like helping people. So I think it's a great opportunity to be a leader to help anyone.
Any advice for somebody wanting to become a PT, a physical therapist?
I would say the words that pop in my head is my mom's words. Just like if you think you want to try it, go shadow someone for a day or a few days, a few weeks, and kind of see if you like it. And it helps when they kind of give you a little payment as well. So if you can kind of be like working for them too for like a few weeks, few months, whatever. I think it's a great opportunity to kind of see behind the veil of like what a particular profession does in the realm of physical therapy. I would say it's a great field. There's a lot of components that make a physical therapist from an exercise standpoint, from a medical standpoint, from a rehab. Just say shadow someone. See,
Thank you. That is all. I appreciate you joining us and chatting with me this morning. If you don't have anything else to add, that's all the questions I have for you today.
I'll just kind of pop this one other thing in there. This was something that's been kind of fun that kind of broke the ceiling in my head, so to speak.
Uh-huh.
So I just want a piece of advice to anyone that's out there. Is that you could be the CEO of your own self. So I think that's a fun option for people to learn, is that not only from a physical therapy standpoint, from any medical standpoint, any other standpoint, is that anything is possible. So if you start realizing that anything is possible, and if you find an actionable way to kind of figure out how to get somewhere, it's pretty cool. So I definitely just kind of give power to people out there to kind of just like always ask questions.
Right, right. No, you are definitely a great resource and example for that. And I appreciate hearing even just a little bit. I'm sure there's a lot more that we didn't get to hear about, but we appreciate getting to know you and hearing from you this morning. Thank you, Kevin.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me. I greatly do appreciate it. I was very excited for this.
Thank you. You have a good evening. I mean, why did I say evening? Have a Good day and a nice weekend. How about that?
Coming off that vacation time, I'm the same way.
I know. All right. Bye, Kevin.
Take care. Bye.
Bye. All right. That's all I have for you today. Thank you again for joining me. I appreciate you. Please subscribe, follow, like, comment, and share. And stay blessed. Bye.